Well, just one more question on Fast and Furious going back. I don't know how I skipped over this question. It was in my brain the whole time. You're working with Michelle Rodriguez. Oh,
yeah.
Oh. That's my question. Oh. I love her. Oh.
Yeah, she was very cool, man. Everybody was cool. Down to earth. Yeah, Michelle's cool.
Oh, I love her. I love her badass attitude. I love her.
Yeah.
She doesn't give a fuck. I love her.
Yeah, man, she hangs with the boys, you know what I mean? She's just like, down.
That's got to be the best part.
Yeah.
I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah.
One of my favorite horror movies of all time, the original. I watched the remake, and let me tell you, I like it even more. I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
A lot of gruesome stuff in there, especially if you're not familiar with I Spit on Your Grave. The original was kind of banned everywhere for such gruesome content, and even though they didn't follow the original so closely, there still are many things that happen in the original, but were a little bit more explicit on the new version. And from what I understand, they didn't go for the R rating. They stayed with the NC-17 because the MPAA said, don't cut a thing, it's a great movie. Is that true?
Yeah, they did. They said, you know what, we think you guys made a good, dark, disturbing film. Don't touch it. And, if they would have touched it, it wouldn't be I Spit in Your Grave. And, by the original, you have to make it brutal. And it was. And I loved it. I loved how it turned out. And it's probably, I'm more proud of that, I think, than anything I've ever done, to be honest.
I heard that you originally set to audition for a different role in that film. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got my ex-manager at the time had set me aside to do one role and to play Danny Francese's role, and I just was not right for it. And I instantly gravitated towards Matthew when I read the script, and I knew that I could do it. And I said, how would I go in for the shy mental challenge guy? That seems a little bit more appropriate. And I went and read for Steven, and he called me back, and then I got it. And I didn't know it was a remake until after I got cast. Not even
really.
Yeah, when they sent out the breakdown in Hollywood, they said Day of the Woman, and I actually never had heard of I Spit in Your Grave or Day of the Woman. And I got cast. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great, a horror flick, and it's such a great content. And then I just started doing a little research online. I was like, whoa, there's a path with this film. And I'm like, awesome, man. I'm so glad it came my way because I love dark stuff, and this was the epitome of dark. And it was exhilarating, and some really great friends have come out of that movie. So,
I had heard something that during the rape scene is just brutal, and it goes on forever, and it's just like kind of disturbing if you ask me. And I had heard that when you were filming that, you kind of threw up. You got violently sick watching the scene actually taking place.
I going through the motions, I would have that sort of like in between takes, that gagging sort of like retching feeling, and sort of go off in the corner and get rid of them, and then look over at Sarah and kind of give her the thumbs up, like, you okay? And she would give me the thumbs up, and then we would do it again and, do it until we got it right. And, man, I mean, that was a harrowing day, and we were all tripping on each other. I mean, we were just like, there was no acting in that part. It was just such a surreal moment, and the hairs in the back of our necks were standing up on end, and but still to this day, probably the greatest filming experience in my life. It was awesome.
And you gotta imagine that you're filming that all day long, if not for several days. That long scene. How do you think that played out in her mind, though? Do you think she was? It seemed like she's the coolest chick in the world. Every interview I've ever heard or read, she seems like the coolest chick. Do you really think it didn't affect her at all?
There were moments it did, absolutely, but a couple times. But, Sarah has also become like a very close friend of mine, and actually my girlfriend and her have become like best friends, which is really hysterical. We go hiking together. They go work out. You know, it's really funny.
Yeah, they're on the treadmill together, and she's like, "Remember that time when your boyfriend raped me in a movie? Yeah, that was awesome."
Yeah, we joke about that quite a bit. You know, but she was a trooper. She was an absolute trooper, and we all looked after her like a sister, and made sure she was comfortable and okay. And I noticed she had a few moments where she kind of had to collect herself. We would kind of give her the space to do that. But man, she was like balls to the walls, and she didn't complain. She didn't bitch. It was like she just, you know, did it, and it was awesome.
And it's an awesome movie. If you guys have not checked it out, get it on Blu-ray, get it on DVD. I own the Blu-ray and the DVD. Awesome movie. I Spit on Your Grave. Check it out. It was just released a couple months back on video. Definitely check it out. It will go on video on demand. I think they're actually playing on Netflix as well. But I Spit on Your Grave is such an awesome movie. I'm not a big fan of remakes at all. There's only a handful that I like. This one was better than the original.
Yeah, Matty's quite critical, so.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
And before we get to what everyone wants to talk about, Supernatural,
yeah,
loves it. I got a couple more questions, and if you got questions, there's so many people waiting on hold for you now. But if you want to call in right now, 323-792-2992, give us a call. Something I read about you, Guitar Hero fan. Is that true?
Yeah, I do love Guitar Hero. Yeah, I've even played it at a few conventions.
That's what I heard. And you know what? Next convention you're at, when I'm there, I'm going to challenge you. Rock Band Guitar Hero. That's my thing. I love it. I heard you're stage diving at conventions, too. This is like a rock star material right here.
Yeah, man. I've been doing some stage diving lately. The karaoke at these conventions has really turned into something. It's become, they're quite the event.
I can't wait. It's going to be sooner than later, I'll tell you that. And the challenge is on. Matty P and Chad Lindberg, we're going at it. Rock band style, Guitar Hero style. That's what we're doing. All right, Supernatural.
Yeah.
Were you a fan of the show?
I enjoy the show. I'll be honest and say I don't particularly just watch the show. I got to do a lot of catching up. And a lot of actors will tell you they usually watch their episodes of something. And I do love this show, and I have caught episodes. And I think one day I'll sit down when it's like completely finished and go through beginning to end. But the fan base is absolutely amazing, and they're incredibly loyal. And, I had no idea when I did that show it was going to turn into such a TV phenomenon, man. I mean, I love it.
It really has been. Yeah. Such a huge phenomenon that your character was killed in the show, or so we thought. And they bring you back because of the drive of fan support, whether it be on Twitter or petitions online.
It was a huge backlash to that.
I think that had a lot to do with it. I can't believe the outpouring of support that you had from Supernatural fans. It's pretty crazy.
It is crazy. There's so much love there. And when Twitter came along, it really sort of opened that avenue. And I was like, make some noise. Let's make it happen. And the fans did. And Eric Kripke, who was the creator of the show, heard the noise, and he's like, we got to have Chad back. And they brought me back for one episode and put me in heaven, and I came in and saved the boys. And it was pretty awesome. And, I do all these conventions, and such a lot of love from the fans. Quite amazing.
Yeah, these conventions go everywhere from like Italy to Brazil to the USA for Supernatural, and I'm a big fan of the circuit of conventions, and I love them. All the different spooky empires to the Chiller theaters, but this has taken on a life of its own. There's got to be some kind of crazy fans that see you. What's the craziest fan interaction that you've ever had at any of these conventions?
I'll say crazy in what's happened to me, and this was done out of love, but this really took it to the next level. There was a girl in Nashville who had a hard time talking to me. She was very overwhelmed, and she was crying, and she was very sweet. And later that night, we do these things called the cocktail party, where we go around at different tables and we talk to fans. And I was at her table, and I sat next to her, and she couldn't talk. And her friend next to her was like, "You should sign her arm, so she's going to tattoo it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I took a Sharpie, and on her forearm, I write "Business up front, party in the back, Dr. Badass, Chad Lindberg," all across her arm, just scribbling it, right? Next day, she sent me a picture on Twitter of her arm completely tattooed. She had done it.
Wow.
I'm awesome. Wow. That's commitment, and I love it.
I was actually going to ask you what's the weirdest thing you signed, but a forearm that got tattooed, I think that takes the cake.
That's pretty much up there. I don't know if anything can top that.
Wow.
I gave her the biggest fan award. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat that.
Every guy that's going to have sex with her is going to see that in her arm for the rest of her life.
She'll be like, funny story,